Whenever a saint delves into politics, it's inevitable that some of the beliefs or ideas that one may stand for may rub others the wrong way. In other words, it's controversial. Not everyone's going to believe the way that you believe. The only thing that you can hope is that when you explain yourself, that people will understand why you're saying it, even if they don't agree with what you say. That, to me, is where discourse comes in. And as saints of God, we can either be on the sideline and say that, oh, we don't believe any of them, which, of course, is definitely, I feel that way at times myself. But you live in this world. You may not be of the world, but you live in it. So therefore, you're affected by the policies of a particular administration, whether it's Democrat or Republican or independent or socialist or whatever. Of course, you can always go radical, say either communist or right-wing nativism. But what I'm going to say right now is, actually, many of them will strike you the wrong, it will hit you the wrong way. And I really am saying in advance, I'm not trying to do that. But what I'm about to say is based upon the idea of, if anyone is going to be president of a country such as the United States, then they should have enough awareness of what they say that no one has to spend a lot of time trying to decipher what they say or interpret what they say. The reason why I say that is because, to me, a candidate or one who has won the presidency, they have to be able to communicate to their constituency, both those who voted for that person and for those who voted against that person. They have to bridge the gap. And your words have to reflect that you say what you mean and you mean what you say. That's the thing about Christ. Jesus meant what he said. He meant to call the scribes and Pharisees hypocrites. He meant to relate them to a sepulcher that was clean on the outside but full of dead men's bones on the inside. He meant to say that. He meant to say that it'll be harder for a rich man to enter to the kingdom of heaven than to go through the eye of a needle. Of course, we've tried to understand what he was trying to say, and that's the thing too. In many cases of what we're trying to describe, we're not firsthand listeners of Christ. We are hearing words in our ears and reading words with our eyes that were first brought forth around 2,000 years ago. So we don't have the benefit of firsthand knowledge. So therefore we have to try to understand the mores, the social construct of that particular time that ends up meaning more or in a different way for that particular group than it does for us today, especially because the translations we have received, which include the King James, I know, love King James, that's my Bible. But I also know that some of the words have changed their meaning over the years. So those who read it now may not have the best picture as to what the speaker actually meant. But we can say that about the Bible, that interpretation. But our presidents are speaking in real time. You hear them and they're expressing their views. We should not try to twist them or try to make it sound more palatable, because we know that it's going to put off somebody. This is what they said. That's what they said. When Hillary Clinton came up with her basket of deplorables comment, I knew right there she was going to lose the election. Because people will try to twist that, saying she really didn't mean that half the people are deplorable. She did. She meant that. Maybe she didn't mean to say it in that context, but she meant it. Now the question is whether you consider yourself part of that basket of deplorables or not. But she meant what she said. Again, there are those who are trying to sugarcoat it, but she meant what she said. Now, our current president said several things that people have tried to explain away. And if you say something like, well, he's an old man, then why did he get elected? We just finished electing another old man before he finished 4 years, and by the time the ending, he couldn't even articulate anything. So yeah, it was good that he ended up only serving one term, because you don't know what he was going to say and how he was going to say it, whether it was going to be even intelligible. So now a man who will end up being our oldest president of the United States says certain things that people feel like it has to be interpreted right. Nothing a president says should have to be interpreted right. Either they said it or they didn't. Take account of it. Now they may try to explain their position with it, but not to explain away the meaning. For instance, most of us have heard, or at least heard of, the fact that he had said blank whole countries. See, that sticks with me. That lets me know what he feels about the people with whom I share an ancestry with. Now, maybe from what he has seen, it's been constant, a constant change in either militias or going after each other, or rebellion, or just outright fights between various tribes. And because of that, the economy, the living conditions of the nations suffer. I got it. Understand that there are problems with nations in Africa. But to call them blank whole countries, he meant what he said. People try to explain away what he said throughout the election. He tried to explain it away. But a few weeks ago, he reiterated that he meant exactly what he said. So he, at least, is taking responsibility for what he said, whether we like it or not. It may cause resistance to his policies become more firm, but that's what he said. If you didn't want such resistance, then you have to watch what you say. But I do give him kudos for saying what he meant. So either you believe what he said, you don't believe what he said. In fact, many people that are hearing this may even think the same way. Say, well, no, I'm not racist. But you got to admit those countries in Africa are certainly low on the totem pole of having civilized conditions in their countries. It only takes a few catastrophes for even a country like the United States to sink into something like that. And if you haven't heard the history or read the history, then I understand what you may feel. Doesn't mean I think you're right. But at least I understand where you're coming from, so I know how to address you. Doesn't mean I'll ignore you, but at least how to address. I think we all laughed when he talks about the Haitians eating cats and dogs. And how he said that during a debate. Incredulous, mouths wide open. Did he actually say that? But there was a deeper reason why he said that. We got hung up on the cats and dogs and ignored what he was saying, which was essentially the Haitians should not be there. The Haitians should go back to their country. Good or bad. They should go there. Leave us alone. The jobs that they have could be filled by people in America. And there are many people who believe in that exact same thing, that these various groups of people that have come from other countries under various programs are taking away jobs or taking away opportunities that we Native Americans, and Native I use in a very broad tone. But these are the type of things that essentially many people feel. And in the end, they may say, I'm not racist, mind you. It's not that I hate them, but they're taking away my job. Again, once you leave trying to kind of do a political wash on someone's words, you're trying to scrub them up, trying to make them look nice. The truth is the truth is the truth. Not necessarily what they say is true, but what they said truly represents what they feel. And isn't that why we even have politicians talk in the first place? So we know what their stance happens to be on particular issues? Isn't that the reason why we use these in order to determine whether we want to elect a candidate or not? Based upon the words they say? Good or bad? Good or bad? That's why when you hear a pastor preach, And those especially who are seasoned in the word, if they hear something that does not seem right, they kind of wince. Hopefully, he will try to explain what he had just said. And the vast majority of the time, they do. Then you can decide whether this is a person who I can continue to follow as he follows Christ or she follows Christ, or do I leave or go somewhere else, or maybe even ask, what was your intent? See, the thing, you can even ask, what was your intent? Instead of trying to make our own, what do you call it, our own interpretation of it and applying it to that person, let's ask the person himself, what did you mean by that? That's why you have reporters. It's not there to just trip them up or trip any candidate up. They're there to make sure that whatever they said, not only they owned up to it, and gives them a chance to explain what it's all about. Let the candidate explain. If they don't explain, then take it at the face value, whether it seems good to you or not. That should be for every candidate, not just president. Our senators, our House of Representatives, our governors, our lieutenant governors, our mayors, our supervisors, all those who hold elected offices, even judges. We should be thinking not how to twist the words of someone that we like so that it does not hurt anyone, but let's be frank about it. If you believe a certain way, you say it. If it's unpopular, okay, it's unpopular. But take responsibility for what you say. I didn't mean to say, that's not what I said. Okay, then we'll give you a chance to explain what you meant by it. We'll give you a chance to explain it. So explain. I hear that all the time. You took it out of context. 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 Okay, then fine. Explain it. Because there's some times where you would take snippets of something that's being said, and the explanation would have been in the main body of what they were saying. But we take that little snippet, and this is what gets us inflamed in the news. You have all these sound bites, so to speak, that's calculated to raise up anger or fear or whatever type of strong emotion to put you the one way or the other. It's what we do. But we should, if that seems not be the right interpretation, because all we can do is based upon what a person says. But I know there's some things that have been said that maybe sounded bad, but sound worse because it's taken out of context. If we look at our own Bible, and if you take certain verses, it would mean one thing, whereas if you put it in the context of what was written before and afterwards, it would mean something entirely different. You give them a chance to explain themselves. Give them a chance to explain what this means. Just like we don't want to take verses out of context, we don't want to take candidates out of context. But at the same time, let's let the candidate explain what they meant. And usually, you will at least get to where they meant. Yeah, there's some that lie, regardless of that, because they found that it was something that the people didn't quite agree with. So you had to kind of change your way of speaking it, change even lie and say, I didn't say that. But at least you gave them a chance to explain themselves. But the key here, saints of God, is if the person you elected said something, if that candidate said something, that official said something, and it's not quite what you thought they should say, do not immediately go on the defensive and try to interpret it in a way that sounds better to those who don't like that person. They said what they meant. They meant what they said. And they have to live with what they said. Period. This may sound controversial to a lot of people, but I say, judge someone on what they said, not of what you think they should have said. God bless you. May He keep you. Take care of yourselves. And for those of you that watch for it, our Word Diner should be coming up within the next 20 minutes. If you have a little bit of time, I invite you to drop by and take a little chunk out of the Word and sup with it. Invite you there. In the meantime, God bless you. Take care of yourselves. In Jesus' name.